And good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to today's episode of Law, News, and Laughter. In the news today, Tesla is suing an Australian company over EV technology, Xbox Gold's officially being discontinued, and Met Police agree to a significant six-figure settlement to Daniel Morgan's families after admitting corruption, incompetence, and defensiveness in a failed investigation. Whoop, hang on, I got something playing in the background. There we go. Alright guys, how about we get stuck into it? Welcome to Law, News and Laughter. Hang on, where's the video? And of course, there we go. Alrighty, now, excuse me. I'm going to start off by apologising, guys. I'm going to be a little bit low energy today. I'm not going to lie. I'm struggling. But hopefully energy drink, a little bit of news, a little bit of laughter, and it'll make all the difference. So, let's get stuck into it, shall we? Tesla sues Australia's CapXX over EV battery technology. Tesla has sued an Australian company, CapXX, in Texas federal court on Friday, claiming its supercapacitors used for storing energy in electric vehicle batteries infringe two US patents owned by a Tesla subsidiary. Tesla CEO Elon Musk pledged in 2014 not to initiate patent lawsuits against anyone who in good faith wants to use their technology. The company says the legal action comes in response to a lawsuit that CapX originally filed against Tesla subsidiary Maxwell Technologies in 2019 for patent infringement. So basically, we're going to be going to war over patents. Interesting. Maxwell has a history of innovation that has resulted in its own patents, now assigned to Tesla, and thus Tesla brings a suit against CapXX to protect its intellectual property rights, the lawsuit said. Representatives for Tesla and CapXX did not immediately respond to a request for comment, which was filed in the US District Court of the Eastern District of Texas. Tesla acquired Maxwell in 2019. Like CapXX, Maxwell makes capacitors for electric vehicles that increase their energy storage capabilities. The patents that CapX allegedly infringed relate to electrodes used in supercapacitors, which Tesla called the primary source of the device's power capabilities. Tesla said the electrodes used in CapX's supercapacitors work in the same way as Maxwell's patented technology. It asked the court for an unspecified amount of money in damages. Yes, Elon does make flamethrowers as well. CapXX's ongoing lawsuit in Delaware federal court accuses Maxwell of infringing on its own supercapacitor patents. Oh, okay. Apparently that's the end of it. That's a very short and sharp and to the point news article. Now I feel the need to see if I can find the case. Give me a second. Head off to Pacer. What was it? CapXX. That's going to be the fastest way to find it. Not smart move, stealing from a man with his own ICBMs. Oh, where is that? Okay, so that's the Delaware case. Okay, so I can open that because I'm curious. And there's the Tesla one. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so Tesla's demand for jury trial. Action for infringement of United States patent number 8279580 and 8591601. Under the patent laws of the United States, true and accurate copy of the patent is exhibited at A. CapX previously filed a suit against Maxwell Technologies, which is a subsidiary of Tesla, alleging that Maxwell infringed on the patents. Maxwell has a history of innovation that has resulted in its own patents now assigned to Tesla, and thus Tesla brings a suit against CapX. Don't care about the parties, don't care about the jurisdiction. Asserted patents. On October 2012, patent filed electrode for energy storage device with microporous and mesoporous activated carbon particles, duly and legally issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. The 508 patent named Linda Zong and Zhao Mei Zi as inventors. November 2013, the 601 patent for electrode for energy storage device with microporous and mesoporous activated carbon particles was duly and legally issued. Okay, fine. How have they infringed? Manufacturer and distributor of supercapacitor products. Supercapacitor products use electrodes. For example, patents assigned to CapX show that CapX's products are charged storage devices that include electrodes. Well, no shit. Others of the public documents similarly describe the use of electrodes in the supercapacitor products. Electrodes of the CapX include current collectors, amongst other things. This may be more interesting when I read it on my own. Not gonna lie. Publicly available research on current collectors also confirms that CapX superconductors use current collectors. Well, yeah, that's generally how they work. Electrodes in CapX supercapacitor products contain a film of activated electrode material wherein... Okay. In violation, has infringed. CapX's supercapacitors infringe on at least one exemplary claim of the 508 patent. Supercapacitor products are energy storage devices that contain electrodes. No shit. Electrodes of CapX's supercapacitor product comprise in part a current collector. Yeah. Okay, fuck it. I'm moving on. Okay. So a typo has sent millions of US military emails to Russian ally Mali. A simple typo has caused millions of US military emails containing extremely sensitive information to be misdirected to Mali, a close ally of Russia. The emails being sent to Mali's .ml domain, thanks to people incorrectly typing the suffix of all American military email addresses, which is MIL. That is dangerous. Johanna Zubida, a Dutch internet entrepreneur contracted to manage Mali's country's domain, told the Financial Times he noticed the issue nearly a decade ago and has made repeated attempts to warn US authorities about it. None of the missent emails have been marked classified, but many contain highly sensitive information about American military personnel and installations, including base staff lists, medical data, there you go, Desert, and identity documents. One email contained a travel itinerary for General James McConville, the Chief of Staff of the Army, and his delegation on a trip to Indonesia, which included room numbers and details of the collection of his hotel room key. Zubiria has raised the alarm yet again because on Monday, the day his contract expires, the .ml domain reverts to Mali's government, which is a close ally of Russia and major employer of the Wagner military mercenary group. All of the misdirected US military emails can now be collected by the government. .ml has been the US military's thing since forever. Well, clearly it's going to cause some issues, because if all it takes is a misplaced I for sensitive military documentation to be sent off to a completely different country, that may be problematic. So, alright. So, apparently the FBI has used a Nintendo Switch to locate an abducted child. A friend notified the authorities after seeing the missing girl sign into her console to download a game. The FBI used a Nintendo Switch console to locate an abducted 15-year-old girl who had been missing for 11 days back in August 2022. In a horrendous case involving kidnap and sexual exploitation, a teenage girl was found and rescued only after she logged into her Nintendo Switch. The unidentified Virginian teenager is a homebody, said friends and family, and unlikely to run away. However, she met a stranger, then 28-year-old Ethan Roberts, on the online chatting platform Omegle in January 22, when she was just 14 years old. The two talked for a few days and then moved their conversation to Discord and Snapchat. Roberts sent nudes of himself to the girl and requested explicit images of her as well, to which she complied. Later, Roberts travelled the 2,000 miles from his apartment in Arizona to the young girl's hometown. Their encounter culminated in Roberts kidnapping the girl and bringing her back to Arizona. Roberts coerced the teen, insisting that she meet strangers on Omegle to sell them nudes via Snapchat between August 3 and August 14 in 22, according to court documents viewed by Kotaku. When the girl went missing on August 3, folks in Virginia put up flyers to locate her. Katra Coleman, a volunteer with the local non-profit Hear Their Voices, which helps find missing and exploited children, domestic violence victims, and people experiencing homelessness, told ABC 15 that they were on the case. We immediately reached out to her family and spoke with her grandmother and her stepdad, and the next day we were out with boots on the ground, Coleman said. She went through a lot in those few days and it reminded me so much of my daughter. Okay. I can hear noises out in the kitchen. Interesting. Unfortunately, no one was able to pinpoint her location until the girl booted up her Nintendo Switch to watch YouTube videos and download a game. A friend saw that she was online and informed the authorities. With Nintendo's cooperation, the FBI culled the Switch's IP address, uncovered her location, and moved in to arrest Roberts. Retired Arizona DPS Director Frank Milstead, who was not involved in the case, told ABC 15 that police agencies often use digital device tracking info to apprehend suspected criminals and to find missing people. It's probably nothing anybody ever even thought about at this point, Milstead said. The fact that somebody else down the road, another child, was bright enough to go, "Hey, look, my friend is online and she's been missing, I need to tell somebody." Everything's connected to Wi-Fi and LTE. A cell phone, an iPad, a watch, whatever it is, you can use those things to locate people. Well, this we know. And if you turn your phone off in the middle of the night, you may be found guilty of disappearing somebody. Well, clearly you shouldn't use a VPN near dark matter if it may prevent you from being kidnapped. The bad guys need to know that the police are watching and that you're leaving a digital footprint everywhere you go. We will find you. In an email to Kotaku, an FBI representative said the case is proof that no one can escape the agency's wide reach and expansive resources. No one can escape the agency's wide reach and expansive resources. Or between you and the Secret Service, you worked out who owned that coke yet? Thanks to the local police department's quick response and FBI Norfolk's ingenuity, we were able to locate the missing victim through her gaming account and reunite her with her family, the FBI representative said, linking to a press release on the incident. As the world evolves, so does the FBI and how we solve cases. This is just one example of that. And while criminals might think that crossing state lines will help them get away, this case also serves as a reminder that because of the FBI's wide reach and partnership with local law enforcement, these predators will be caught and they will pay the consequences. Kotaku reached out to Nintendo for comment. Roberts was indicted on 4 counts, including online enticement of a minor, transportation of a minor, receipt of CP. He made a plea deal and has been sentenced to 30 years in federal prison this past April. Oh, there you go. Oh, as if they're ever going to admit it. Okay. From one shit show to another. The Murdaugh 2019 boat crash lawsuit has been settled, lawyers say. Paul Murdaugh, 19, was believed to have been driving when Mallory Beach, 19, was thrown from the boat and died. Murdaugh's father, prominent lawyer Alex Murdaugh, was convicted of Paul's murder in March. Lawsuits over the deadly 2019 crash of the boat, believed to have been driven by the son of South Carolina legal scion Alex Murdaugh, have been settled, 2 lawyers familiar with the negotiations said on Sunday. Excuse me. The boat struck a bridge piling in Arches Creek, a channel near Hilton Head, throwing Mallory Beach, 19, into the water and ultimately leading to her death. Alex Murdaugh, 64, an attorney from the prominent family in the state's legal community and in Hampton County, owned the boat, and authorities believed that his teenage son Paul was in control when it crashed. In March, a jury convicted Alex of murdering his wife Margaret and Paul in June 2021. Prosecutors alleged that he killed his family to escape accountability for financial crimes that he had committed. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At the time of the slayings, Paul Murdaugh was facing trial in connection with the boat crash. As the vehicle's owner, he'd been the focus of litigation in the boat crash, and a trial in at least one of the claims had been expected to move forward in the coming months. All lawsuits relating to the crash, however, were settled as of Sunday, the lawyers said. No further trials are expected. Four other teenagers were on the boat, and all their claims have been settled, the lawyers said. Those passengers are Anthony Cook, Morgan Doherty, Miley Altman, and Connor Cook. A police report said that the passengers, all of whom were under the legal drinking age, were grossly intoxicated and that alcohol was found on the boat. Paul Murdaugh is on security video purchasing alcohol that evening, and authorities believe that he did have some ID of his older brother, Richard Alexander Buster Murdaugh Jr. Plaintiffs also targeted the store that sold it to him, Parker's. In a statement on Sunday, a lawyer for the retailer said the insurance firms had already settled rather than face losses aimed at punishing the now unpopular Alex Murdaugh. Now unpopular? Dude got railroaded into life in prison without parole. I would say he was pretty well already unpopular. The unfairness that caused Parker's insurance carriers to resolve these suits to avoid paying the likely award intended to punish Alex Murder. Wow, so the guys that sold the beer are basically blaming Alex for having to settle. You know, he's already in prison for murder. Let's just pin everything we can on him, I suppose. This marks a conclusion of all the boat crash cases. We sincerely hope that all involved parties will find some measure of closure. Mark Tinsley, lawyer for the Beach family, said the settlement will make a statement that retailers share responsibility for teenage drinking. The Beach family believes this settlement will serve as a warning to all of the Parkers all over the world who might make an illegal sale of alcohol to a minor, that they will be held to account for their wrongful conduct if they do. The amounts involved in the settlements have not been confirmed by NBC News. WSAV, Savannah of Georgia, reported the cash settlement amounted to $15 million, most of it going to Beach's family. So there you go. So, for some reason, people are thinking that it's a good idea to flock to Death Valley in the middle of a heat wave. Tourists flocking to Death Valley to experience possible world record heat of 55 degrees, which I probably should have already done the math on that. Hang on. Celsius to Fahrenheit. 131 degrees in Death Valley. Damn. Okay. It's the ultimate tourist hotspot. No shit. Some people seek refuge from the heat, while others want to steam in it. Well, I'd think about streaming in it. Including tourists flocking to Death Valley National Park, are expecting a mind-melting world record heat that could be set this weekend. The park, straddling California and Nevada, is well known for its torrid temps, but sweat aficionados want to experience what's in store at Furnace Creek, where the visitor center is located. The heat is expected to hit a high of 131, on Sunday, setting a world record for the hottest temperature ever reliably recorded, the National Weather Service told the news outlet. Earlier this week, German tourist Daniel Juhus snapped a photo of the famed thermometer at the visitor center after challenging himself to a run in the sweltering heat. I was really noticing, I don't feel so hot, but my body was working really hard to cool myself, said the avid runner, whose photo showed the thermometer reading 48 degrees, well below the expected record. An already dangerous weeks-long heat wave labelled a heat dome is expected to only worsen in the coming days as it intensifies and reaches peak strength over parts of the western United States. The so-called heat dome is expected to be so intense, the National Weather Service in Phoenix has called for one of the strongest high-pressure systems in the region that they have ever seen. It predicts more than 100 heat records could fall over the weekend as it intensifies, piling onto more than 1,000 US high-temperature records broken in the last month. Heat alerts have been expanded to and issued in places like California, which is amid its first extreme heat wave of the year. Texas, Florida, and Arizona have already sweltered through dangerously hot temperatures in what is likely to be a record-breaking streak of consecutive 43-degree-plus days. Damn. There it is, 55 degrees, okay. Even low temperatures in affected areas have been or are expected to set records. Forecasters expect the heat to be so intense it suggested residents of Las Vegas avoid the outdoors between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m, with the city forecast to near or exceed its record of 47.2 on Sunday. Damn. That's a dry heat, just like your oven. Death Valley, the hottest place on Earth, could reach highs of 54 degrees or higher on Sunday, according to CNN, nearing its and the world's record of 56.6. Heat domes are generally a term used for a heat wave fueled by spiraling zones of high pressure and occur when persistent regions of high pressure traps hot ocean air above an area. As is currently the case in the US, they can span multiple states. The hottest recorded temperature in Death Valley, which sits at 91 meters below sea level in the Mojave Desert, was 56.6 degrees in July 1913. But scientists have come to doubt the accuracy of that reading, one of many recordings from the early 1900s which have come under intense scrutiny by the World Meteorological Organization. Is that... Oh, that's got to be sunburn. That's not great. In 2013, the group decertified what had been the world's all-time hottest temperature, 58 degrees, set in Al Azia, Libya, 90 years earlier after an evaluation found the measurement faulty. How? How do you find a measurement like that faulty 90 years later? I call bullshit. I really do. Christopher Burt, who worked on the WMO decertification team, called the 1913 Death Valley record 100% bogus, saying an inexperienced temperature observer probably was at fault. You weren't there. You can't comment. I think it's bullshit to go back and say, oh, something that happened decades ago has to be fake because I've determined it to be so. Dude, do you invent time travel? Were you there? Can you go back and work that out for yourself? Unless you can conclusively tell me that there is an explicit reason why you can say that it was faulty, then I call bullshit on your opinion. At Death Valley National Park, signs warn hikers not to venture out after 10 a.m, and while rangers make patrols, there's no guarantee that lost tourists will be reached in time. Physical activity can make the heat even more unbearable at the park, where sun-baked rocks, sand and soil continue to radiate after sunset. It does feel like the sun has gone through your skin and it's getting into your bones, said Park Ranger Nicole Andler. Not gonna lie, that imagery is very evocative and terrifying. Alessia Dempster, who was visiting from Edinburgh, Scotland, even lamented that to the New York Post, the effects of a breeze. It's very hot. I mean, especially when there's a breeze, you would think that maybe that would give you some slight relief from the heat. But it just really does feel like an air blow dryer going on back on your face. Josh Miller, a tourist from Indianapolis, who has visited 20 national parks so far, marveled at the unique experience in Death Valley. It's hot, but the scenery is awesome. Because they are scientists, they don't want it to be hotter back then. They just put weather stations on hot roofs and next to parking lots and throw the data off it becoming hotter. Okay, I need to amend this title. Fraser Island dingo attack. Calls for a cull rejected after injured woman fled into ocean to escape a pack. In what has been the second dingo attack on a beach in, I think it's as many weeks. Another woman has been attacked by a dingo. I'm not sure if this one got bit on the arse though. Rangers are rejecting calls for a dingo cull in Queensland's Fraser Island after a pack attacked a woman who was jogging on one of its beaches. The woman was flown to Hervey Bay Hospital in a stable condition with wounds to her limbs and torso after suffering multiple bite wounds at about 9 a.m. on Monday, the Queensland Ambulance Service said. Rangers said that at least 3 dingoes attacked the 24-year-old when she jogged at Orchid Beach in the island's northeast, and she ran into the water in an attempt to escape them. Someone fucked around and found out. 2 men in a 4-wheel drive saw the incident and rushed into the ocean to help, placing the injured woman in the back of their ute and driving her to safety. First aid was applied to the woman's injuries, and one of the men injured his hand during the rescue. Despite the growing number of attacks, rangers have angrily rejected calls to cull the dingo population on the tourist destination. It's their fucking home. Culling in the situation on Fraser Island is not an option. Culling for the sake of culling, Ranger in charge Linda Brennendorf. Our job is to mitigate risk. You need to know the individuals, you need to work with the individual dingoes, and you need to work with the situation that those dingoes are in. At least one of the animals in the pack was classified as a risk and has a collar with a device to track movement and behaviour. It's an animal with high risk potential about it. One of the dingoes we've identified has been involved in a previous incident which was involved in contact. It was lunging with the intent to make contact. Yeah, so it jumped to attack, as a wild dog may do. Not that dingoes are technically classed as wild dogs for some stupid reason. Camera collars have been used to track dingo movements and their interactions with humans on the island since 2011. The collars are lightweight and worn by dingoes for up to 3 months, releasing via a timed drop-off mechanism. The attack was the latest incident to prompt safety warnings from visitors. An 8-year-old boy was earlier this month attacked on a beach, and a dingo dragged a 10-year-old boy underwater in June. Rangers also euthanized a dingo last month after months of attacks in which it bit a 7-year-old boy and a 42-year-old woman. Rangers attribute the rise in attacks to increasing numbers of people defying restrictions to feed and interact with the animals, with 100 to 200 dingoes estimated to populate the island. We need to work with people that are visiting the island, how not to put yourself into a situation that may lead to a compromising position. The Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, said that she was shocked to hear of the attack. I'm shocked you were shocked. I'm very concerned that apparently this young person was actually corralled into the water. It's the latest in a number of incidents that have prompted safety warnings from visitors to the tourist destination formerly known as Fraser Island. Rangers have reminded people to remain vigilant, especially when it came to supervising children. There are many instances where children may not be appropriately supervised on Fraser Island. This means that children and teenagers must be within arm reaches of adults at all times. Send the dingo to counselling. If you're going to go to a small island that has a population of a dangerous animal, you're not going to get my sympathy if you then get attacked and call for them to be slaughtered. You're just not. I'm sorry. It's their home. It's literally an island on its own where the population is growing and it is self-regulating and all that sort of thing. But because, it's a nice spot to lay down on a towel and sun your ass or get a tan or whatever else, these animals need to be destroyed so that I can enjoy laying on the beach. Yeah, no. Nope. No, mountain streams. I was calling it Fraser. They've called it Kagari the whole way through the article. So, okay, alrighty. All right. A woman shoots 2 of 4 would-be burglars in a Germantown home. In Philadelphia, a woman turned the tables on Sunday when she shot 2 of 4 would-be burglars in her Philadelphia home. Police say it happened at around 1 a.m. on the 4900 block of Germantown Avenue in the city's Germantown neighborhood. Officials say 4 men were caught breaking into a residential home. According to police, the woman arrived at her apartment and found the 4 men inside without her permission. A confrontation ensued, and the woman shot 2 of the 4 offenders, all of whom fled the scene. When officers arrived, they found the woman standing in the street, one of the men laying on the ground suffering from 2 gunshot wounds. He was identified by police as a 48-year-old Jermaine Parker. Parker was treated at the scene by medics, transported to the Einstein Medical Center, where treatment is relative. If you get it, you get it. A short time later, officers located the second man on the unit block of East Seymour Street. He was suffering from a gunshot wound to the back and was also transported to Einstein Medical Center, where he's in a stable but critical condition. The second offender was identified as 45-year-old Randy Miller. Both Miller and Parker were arrested by Philadelphia police and charged with burglary and other offenses. There is no word yet on the other 2 would-be robbers. Oregon's got a new serial killer.
Turn the tables on a group of would-be burglars.
Okay, you can do it.
Police say at around 1 this morning, 4 men tried burglarizing a home in the 4900 block of Germantown Avenue when the woman shot at them, hitting 2. One man was shot in the leg, the other in the back. They are now in the hospital, while the other 2 suspects remain on the run.
And I'm fucking muted. So, apparently Oregon may or may not have a new serial killer. This is breaking news, people. The death of 4 Oregon women over 3 months have been linked, and a person of interest has been identified. The deaths of 4 women whose bodies were found over the course of 3 months in or near Portland are linked, and at least 1 person of interest has been identified, according to authorities. The Multnomah County District's Attorney's Office in Portland says no charges have been filed against anyone, but the community is not currently in any danger. Local media has reported that a man is in custody. The women's bodies were found in Portland and rural areas starting in February, with at least 1 found in May. One body was found about 45 miles southwest of Portland near a creek in Polk County. Authorities said that the state medical examiner has not determined the exact manner of death for any of the women. They were all from the Portland area. Officials did not use the word serial killer in announcing the connection between the deaths. Investigators and prosecutors have, from multiple law enforcement agencies, been working collaboratively, and they have determined that there are links between the 4 cases of Kristen Smith, Charity Perry, Bridget Webster, and Ashley Reel. Why are serial killers never named after cereal? Investigators from 9 law enforcement agencies and prosecutors' offices in 3 Oregon counties, as well as Oregon State Police, have been collaborating on the cases. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Has enough information.
The Sisters of Joanna Speaks are looking for...
Nope, that's a completely unrelated video. Of course it is. Because, why wouldn't it be? US Marines have been unable to defend their title in the beer can regatta as thousands have flocked to Darwin's Mindle Beach. That's right, people, we don't just get drunk. We then take the beer cans, we turn them into boats, and we race them. Reuse, reuse, recycle. It took a team of Darwin-based US Marines just 48 hours and 700 beer cans to build a seaworthy boat. US Marine Corps John Gray described their vessel as an amphibious version of the MV-22 Osprey military aircraft. The crew dedicated weeks to collecting the necessary cans, with plywood and cardboard binding the boat together. As the long-running victors boarded their vessel on Sunday afternoon, they hoped for another beer can regatta title. But the team wasn't able to defend its crown, losing out to the Techno Vikings in a watery battle in the shallow waters off the coast of Darwin. The mullets. I love it. More than a dozen teams participated in the Northern Territory's wildest race, diligently gathering, gluing, and sealing beer cans, plastic containers, drums, and other discarded materials that would otherwise clutter landfill. Lions Club Secretary Delma Swan described the 2023 event as bigger and better than the last, with thousands of spectators watching the main event from Darwin's Mindle Beach. The race was held at Mindle Beach in Darwin. The beer can regatta started in 1974 as an innovative way to clean up rubbish from the top-end streets, Miss Swan said. Back in those days, we had steel cans, so we had some creative boats out there that had motors. But a change in design by the beer companies in the 1980s from steel to lighter, more crushable aluminum cans had bigger consequences for the race that saw boat motors banned. These days, the most important rule is to just stay afloat. Governed by the 10 commandments, the competitors vied for the winning title in the 2 big events that drew hundreds of spectators to the area. The main race saw a handful of boats capsize, fill with water, and one even fall apart during the competition, which culminated in the search for treasure in the Battle of Mindle. Ben Greenwood, captain of the winning Techno Vikings boat, said it had always been their mission to beat the Marines. Last year we lost because we had sails up, so we changed a few things this year. We knew the Americans were going to come in hard. Teammate Tom Kelly said their win was a clear victory. That's got to be them there. That's hilarious. Look at all those 4X cans. I used to love watching the beer can regatta. So. Video shows citizen tackling a suspect who was running from police. Police body-worn footage shows a citizen tackle a suspect in a chase in Oklahoma earlier this week. Tulsa Police Department shared the video, which can be viewed above on Facebook, on Friday, showing a citizen take down a suspect who was running from police at around 11:30 a.m. on Thursday. Police said the suspect, Miguel Fernandez, originally gave a false name and then took off when police started questioning him. Probably thought ICE were after him. During the short foot pursuit with the officer, a citizen driving southbound on Denver Avenue stopped his pickup, jumped out, and tackled Fernandez to the sidewalk. The video shows the citizen wearing an orange shirt tackle Fernandez and pin him to the ground as the officers approach a few seconds later. The citizen then walks back to his vehicle as police place Fernandez under arrest. He was arrested on multiple charges, including resisting arrest, possession of drug paraphernalia, and felony warrants for burglary, conspiracy, larceny, and illegal firearm possession. We love our citizens and greatly appreciate all the support we get from you. This was definitely a case of 110% support. Please put your own safety first before engaging with nefarious characters. Sounds like he he did the police's job. Well,
Mind getting that for me? And then, David, if you want to have a seat right here for me, please. Right.
and he's off. Run, Tubby, run.
Northbound on Denver.
Pretend he's a donut. You can do it. Get after him. Get after him.
Black t-shirt.
Go
shorts.
And down.
Man, bro. Man, homie. Fuck. Oh,
You're under arrest, sucker.
Hey, get his name.
oh man.
Very 70, you say northbound Denver from 11.
Hey, can we...
Fuck, man.
That's him in around.
Bro.
And the cop just walks over
Sorry,
to take his...
homie.
Unit 403. He's in custody.
Oh, man.
Mind getting that for me? And then, David...
That was great. I love that kind of shit. Okay. Alright. Woman pleads guilty to blacking out and driving over 5 times the legal limit. Lovely. We're back in Darwin. A Darwin woman who was caught driving with a blood alcohol level of more than 5 times the legal limit has narrowly escaped jail time in the Darwin local court. Karen Ackerson, 51, pled guilty to high-range drink driving and careless driving, telling the court she was ashamed and embarrassed by her actions on Boxing Day last year. You should be, said Judge Ray Murphy. You know what the TV says? If you drink and drive, what are you? An idiot, she replied. The court heard that Atkinson, who represented herself in court, collided with a traffic sign and stalled her car on the morning of December 26, 2022, before another motorist helped to get the car started. Judge Murphy said it was incomprehensible that she decided to then continue driving. She was later pulled over by police after a concerned member of the public reported her behaviour, and they recorded a blood alcohol level of 0.257. I blacked out, obviously, she said. All I remember is waking up in the hospital. I don't even remember blowing into the bag. Visibly emotional, she said she admitted that she was probably consumed a bottle of wine on an empty stomach, and that her small frame meant she was easily affected by alcohol. I shouldn't even be here, Your Honour. Give it to me. Give it to me, Your Honour. Break my back like a glow stick. Oh, Jesus. Judge Murphy said it was blind luck no one was hurt when Atkinson was behind the wheel. Clearly what you did on that day was stupid. No shit. Why are you treating her with kid gloves? You were so very lucky that you didn't end up killing yourself or somebody else. It's just dumb. That was absolutely dangerous offending, and you were rightfully ashamed and embarrassed. The court heard Atkinson had a prior conviction for medium-range drink driving from more than a decade ago. Okay, and was very close to going to prison. Judge Murphy handed her more than $6,600 in fines and suspended her license for 12 months. Is that really all? That is a hell of a fine, but it's better than 12 months in prison, he said. If you're going to have a couple of drinks, just don't drive. It's that easy. Okay, is that actually going to play, or is that going to be a pain? Come on, you can do it. Load. Stupid Sky News. Oh, now you work. Okay. Alright, let's see what Andrew Bolt's got to say about the Snow White
Often
remake.
must the lesson be learned. Go woke, go broke. Yes. Now I feel Disney's about to learn it all over again with the live-action remake of its classic cartoon, Snow White.
For anyone that doesn't know, the remake of Snow White will have a single dwarf. They are all different ethnicities, genders, whatever else. Only one of them really fits the definition of a little person, let's be perfectly honest. And Snow White, in my opinion, does not fit the definition of fairest of them all. But, yeah.
Now, it's decided it needs to do this in a more modern way. So the German Snow White is now played by a Latina actress, Rachel Zegler. There is no Prince Charming, of course, because this Snow White makes her...
Okay, I didn't know that. They're actually removing Prince Charming? Holy shit. So, how's she going to wake up from the poison?
own way, and no man may kiss a sleeping woman he doesn't know. and the famous
Oh, because it's a consent issue. Oh my god. Fucking hell. We actually live in a world where, like, hyperbole and shit can't just be, okay. Alright.
Seven Dwarfs of the original. Well, they of course have to go. Oh, 6 of them anyway. Too much stereotyping, reckons Disney. And in their place are 7 magical characters of various races and genders.
There they are. There's the 6, sorry, the 1 dwarf and the 6 diversity hires. Hi ho, it's off to unemployment we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
Oh, very diverse. One even seems to need a walking stick, probably on the NDIS as well. So that's wonderful. Joining me as on every Monday is writer and commentator Esther Kraku. Esther, lovely to see you again, but are you on board with this updating of Snow White?
Of course not. Now, I feel like as a huge Disney fan myself, a lot of the films and content that Disney has been coming out.
Sorry, there was a shadow going across the bloody clock tower. Then I'm thinking, how fucking big is that bird? And I was like, hang on, maybe it's a plane.
With lately have been a personal affront, an attack on my devotion to Disney films. It's important to note that even though Disney has confirmed that they have bizarrely cast
it's bad cosplay at a Renaissance festival. Old Dinklage pulled the ladder up behind himself and complained it was demeaning and cost 7 dwarfs a job. Oh no! See, that reminds me of the fucking the comedy skit that oh god, what's his name? Brad, the other guy, and he's like, and someone's like, oh, we have a council or something. I thought Dinklage was the guy in charge. We just all looked at him, and I'm just like, oh my god.
A Latina actress to play Snow White. The pictures that were released originally by the Daily Mail from the film set in Bedfordshire here in the UK, a Disney spokesperson has said that those are not official images, and those are not actually images from the film set, so we don't actually know.
Oh, so Disney's backtracking now. Those are not official images from the set from the movie, although it's allegedly directly taken from the set. Interesting how we're seeing some backtracking by Disney on that. Okay.
No, if we're going to get Black, Asian, and non-white dwarves or whatever sort of diversity box-ticking characters they want to cast it as. But the studio has confirmed that there is actually no Prince Charming. Snow White is a Hispanic woman, and I find it very bizarre why they feel the need to remake these films instead of coming up with original films and then destroy them in this way and completely doctor them to resemble nothing like the original. I mean, they might as well save themselves the trouble and come up with a completely new storyline instead of destroying these classics.
They can't, though, because there is nothing new under the sun, and people just want to see the things that have led to society to being how it is now torn down and remade in their own image. And it's just, no, there's no Prince in there. How much money does Disney need to lose before they stop this woke crap? Clearly not enough so far, because this is just ongoing. I mean, I'm going to trigger someone very specific in the audience right now. Let's look at The Little Mermaid. Which, surprisingly, I thought it was hilarious. I was going to take the little one, for those that don't know, I was going to take the little one to have a daddy-daughter day on Sunday. We wound up making it a family day, and we all went on a trip and whatnot. But my initial thought was I was going to take her to go and see The Little Mermaid. Mummy put her foot down and said no. Which I thought was hilarious. I never actually assumed the dwarves were like white. I don't know, I just thought they were all different dwarves. I don't give a fuck what they look like. The point is that they were similar but different. Yeah, they were also short. So, the prince is the only character who's relevant in Snow White, in my opinion. Okay.
In this way, but I'm not going to be surprised if this film tanks as well as the previous film, which was Mulan.
To be fair, I was only going to take her because she's obsessed with mermaids, and I knew she wasn't going to pay any sort of attention to the woke bullshit. Oh, if there's no dwarf tossing, I'm going to be upset.
Which I'm still personally offended by in every way, shape, and form. But it looks like they're going down the same route, and they don't want to learn. And unfortunately, they're going to have to learn the hard way, like Budweiser.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's going to be Disney's Dylan Mulvaney?
Probably right. It's interesting, you know, how the Disney scrambled. They first said, "Oh, these photos are fake," and then they said, "Well, actually, you know, one was a stand-in woman, and it's not official photos." I think they're trying to give themselves leeway to change depending on which way the wind blows. Now, but it's interesting as that Disney is doing this while a very happily retro Barbie is being released, the movie starring Australian Margot Robbie. Or, I don't know, was Barbie always still a very modern woman? I don't know. You tell me.
I can't take the Barbie movie seriously. As bad as it sounds, like, Ken's too fake and plastic, which is ironic. Like, I totally buy Margot Robbie as Barbie. I totally buy all the other characters. Ken was a terrible casting. Barbie seems too tanned in this.
Well, I mean, there's always been conversations about whether Barbie is a feminist icon or whether she's a modern woman. And the reality is she doesn't need to be any of those things. She's a pretty doll that the young girls like to play with. And, you know, the people responsible for putting out the Barbie film understand that if they chose a transgender, overweight, one-legged Barbie, the film would tank before it was even released. So,
hey, let's just be happy that Amy Schumer bowed the fuck out because she decided it wasn't woke or feminist enough.
they stuck to the status quo, which is a very attractive young woman in the form of Margot Robbie, and they're understanding who their market is. And I'm personally going to see it. I'm dressing in all pink. I've bought a pink wig, and I'm extremely excited. But, you know, I'm not going to look forward to the Snow White film with every race and gender of 7 dwarves out there.
Stop in on the show on your way to the movie, please. I want to see this. Now, Esther.
Ken's mid-transition.
Gee, it's odd, you know. I don't know what's in the water there, what's in the grappa or whatever, you know. In Italy, a school cleaner puts his hand down the back of the underpants of a...
Oh, Andrew, why are you linking this to this? Oh, that's right, because it was determined to be a fucking joke because the groping took less than 10 seconds. And it probably is all linked, really.
7-year-old student said it was a big joke, got charged with sexual assault. Now a judge has said, well, yes, it is a joke because he left his hand there for less than 10 seconds, which his victim then illustrated with this post to show a disgust.
Okay, we already talked about that yesterday, so I'm going to move on. But, again, that's some utter bullshit. Swiss watchmaker Swatch Watch sues Malaysia for seizure of Pride watches. That's right. Malaysia is going so far anti-woke that they're confiscating watches that have the rainbow on them or that are different colours that make up the rainbow if you have 7 of them. In Kuala Lumpur, Swiss watchmaker Swatch Group has filed a lawsuit against the Malaysian government for confiscating rainbow-coloured watches that celebrate LGBT rights, in an act that the company says has damaged its reputation. You really think that the confiscation's what's damaged the reputation? Homosexuality is a crime in the Muslim-majority Malaysia, and rights groups have warned of growing intolerance against the country's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. In May, Malaysian authorities confiscated watches from the Swatch's Pride collection because of the presence of the letters LGBTQ on the watches. Huh. They really made it sound like it was just about the colours. Home Ministry officials illegally seized 172 watches from 16 outlets, Swatch said in court documents seen by Reuters. The lawsuit, filed on June 24 in the Kuala Lumpur High Court, was first reported on Monday in the Malay Mail, a Malaysian news website. Without a doubt, the seized watches did not and are not in any way capable of causing any disruption to public order or morality or any violations of the law, Swatch said in the lawsuit. The seizure notices served to Swatch described the watches as having elements of promoting LGBTQ rights and potentially breaching Malaysian law, the company said. Most of the seized watches, which have a combined retail value of $14,250.05, did not contain the LGBTQ lettering. Okay, well, if that's the case, then that's an issue. Trying to sell a watch like that over there is just stupid. Not disagreeing with you. Swatch is seeking damages and return of the watches, saying its ability to do business in the country has been greatly jeopardised by the seizures. Swatch Group said on Monday it did not comment on ongoing legal cases. Malaysia's Home Ministry did not immediately respond to comment. Kuala Lumpur High Court is set to hear the case on July 20. Malaysia has jailed or caned people for homosexuality. Last year, 18 people were detained at a Halloween party attended by members of the community. The seizure and lawsuit come ahead of crucial regional polling that will pit Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's progressive coalition against a mostly conservative ethnic Malay Muslim alliance. In the run-up to the elections, Anwar has again been accused by critics of not doing enough to protect the rights of Muslims in multiracial, multi-faith Malaysia. Anwar was imprisoned for sodomy and corruption for nearly a decade, charges he denied and were politically motivated. The Premier has repeatedly said this month that his government will uphold the principles of Islam, state media has reported. He has also said that LGBT rights will not be recognised by his administration. So there you go. Okay. The big mistake that the Block's Mr. Lambo made in court as the flamboyant property investor moans about being treated worse than an armed robber. Let me just check my blood pressure first before I start reading this. Okay. A wealthy property investor who used a crane to lift a race car 57 stories to put on display in his penthouse has taken to social media to moan about hoon charges. Adrian Portelli, known as Mr. Lambo after his appearance on reality TV show The Block, fronted Sunshine Magistrates Court on Monday after being hit by police with 3 driving offences. The case was adjourned, but not before Portelli, 34, made the mistake of taking a photograph from inside the court building and posting it to Instagram to moan to his 187,000 followers about his rotten luck in life. My heart fucking breaks for you. It is a condition of entry into the Victorian Magistrates Court not to take photos or video from inside the building. One of the reasons that I do not bring live court feeds to this channel. Victoria, the place where you can get off lighter committing armed burglary than you can for a driving offence. Yeah, so he actually craned a $2 million sports car into his penthouse. Blocked off massive areas of Melbourne for him to be able to do that too. People were a bit pissed.
I'm tearing up. This is like, I'm petrified to be broke again.
You turn over 60 million a year, 0 employees.
Everyone.
Really?
Everyone.
A few months back, you were giving away a house that was worth like $1 million.
Yeah, $1.7 million house. I would say what I want because I'm not relying on an audience or a following to make money or social media to make money.
Like your car collection. Just walk me through your car collection quickly.
Anyone that thinks they're better than somebody because of their wealth is a piece of shit. I'm no better than anyone.
That one change, 5 a.m. changed the whole business.
Changed the whole business. I went back to sleep. I woke up, clocked my biggest day. Ego just doesn't belong in business. You know, you just got to be level-headed, grounded.
When you made your first million, what did you say to your mum? Like, Mum, here, look at this.
Yeah,
Tagged within the Sunshine Magistrates Court, Portelli was pictured beaming with delight before the courtroom door. The court heard Portelli was pushing ahead with a plan to contest his hooning charges. Accompanied by a burly minder, Portelli sat quietly in the front of the court before being forced to make his way past a waiting media pack. Outside court, he denied his social media post was mocking the court system. No, definitely not. I'm all for the courts, he told reporters. We'll sort this out and move on. Portelli was driven away by a waiting Maserati Quattroporte valued at $219,000 and quickly hit Instagram again, lashing out at media reports of his court appearance. Last week, disgraced actor Vince Colosimo was spared having to front court in person after his taxpayer-funded barrister successfully argued for him to appear via video link under an obscure practice note introduced during Victoria's bug lockdown. Daily Mail Australia revealed that in May, Portelli had been picked up by police and charged. Court documents revealed that he was accused of hooning at Diggers Rest just before Christmas in 2020, with police hitting him with a charge of careless driving, failing to have proper control of a vehicle, and driving in a manner to cause a vehicle to lose traction. Yeah, so he was doing doughies, basically. The hearing came just a week after he shared photos of $2 million McLaren Senna GTR 57 being lifted into his $39 million penthouse in the Sapphire by the Gardens Tower in Melbourne's CBD. The circumstances around how police put their case against Portelli and what kind of vehicle he was driving at the time of the alleged offences will remain unknown until his next appearance in October. The court heard that his defence is still trying to obtain materials from police it believes will go towards clearing him of the charges. In May, his then lawyer, Angelica Yiannopoulos, called on police to supply unredacted copies of both body-worn and dashcam footage captured by the officers that intercepted her client. She also asked that he be provided any handwritten or typed notes taken by the officer in relation to the charges. That's just part of discovery. Why is this an issue? Police prosecutor told the court that the defence had been provided with the full brief and all of the video footage that it intended to give him. Portelli made headlines last year after an appearance on Channel 9's The Block, where he placed a record-breaking bid on a home renovated by contestants Omar and Oz, but which led to the accusation that it was a dummy bid to drive up the price. He made headlines again on Saturday after it was revealed that he purchased influencer Troy Candy Williams' Gold Coast property. Why do we care about this? The 5-bedroom home was listed on the market for $2.8 million to $3 million, but the exact sale price hasn't been revealed. Williams announced Portelli was the lucky buyer of the home on Instagram alongside a cheeky picture. He received both praise and scorn earlier this year after posting pictures of himself posing next to the race car that he had hoisted into his high-rise apartment. First look at the McLaren Senna GTR 57 floors up. Huge thanks to everyone involved for making this absolute surreal moment happen, he wrote. Can't believe they actually had to remove the glass. Like, that's that's something else. Community backlash over the stunt was instant, with Portelli defending his appearance on the block and attacking Greens leader Adam Bant, who criticised him on Twitter for the crane stunt. Labor's giving this guy a $9,000 tax cut while people starve on $52 a day, he wrote. Portelli didn't hold back in his response. Who the fuck is this guy trying to use me as a political tool to sympathise? He wrote with a red circle around the picture of Adam Bant. Portelli lashed out over those claims and criticised his audacious crane stunt had attracted. First, my name was trashed publicly, suggesting I was a dummy bidder who couldn't afford the blockhouse, even suggesting I was friends with the contestants because of my ethnicity. Now there are people crying because I've got too much money. Make up your mind, people. Portelli bought the luxury penthouse last month in a sale that broke the record for the city's most expensive apartment as he handed over a whopping $39 million, though he stated he only intends to use it as a weekender. He's rich, they do dumb shit. In Clarkson's voice, quattroporte, that's Italian for 4 doors, and 4 doors equals more whores in the world. That was good, Paulson Thunder, I'll give you that. That was good. Hang on, why is that not logged in? I should be logged in for that. Okay, landlords will not be allowed to evict tenants without approved reason under new rental reforms. About time. Landlords will not be allowed to evict their tenants without an approved reason under new rental reforms proposed by the state government. Under the changes, landlords would need a prescribed reason to end a periodic tenancy and not renew a fixed tenancy, with excuses to include breaches by the tenant or wanting to sell, renovate, or move into the property. The government would also increase the minimum notice period to end a tenancy from 28 days to 60 days to allow tenants to find another home and arrange time to move. The changes are the latest in a bit of reforms put forward by the government, including banning rental bidding and allowing pets in rental properties. Recent Shelter SA data shows that nearly 40% of the tenancies were terminated by the landlord with the end of a fixed lease, the most common reason provided. However, 50% of the residencies were ended without any stated reason. Under current laws, tenants who find themselves in the situation have no right to contest the termination. Changes reflect the submissions received in response to the government's review of the Residential Tenancies Act released on Sunday, which found 68% of the 5,565 surveyed respondents supported moves to end no-cause evictions. An engagement process will soon begin, with reforms on the bill to be introduced into Parliament later this year. Consumer and Business Affairs Minister Andrea Michaels said the reforms would make a real difference for tenants amid a record low vacancy rate of less than 1%. Housing insecurity is a real concern for many South Australian tenants who fear becoming homeless if their lease is terminated. Our reforms are seeking to address this and provide tenants with additional security in their rental home, while still enabling landlords the opportunity to end a tenancy for valid reasons, such as breaches by the tenant or wanting to sell, renovate, or move into the property. It's a balancing act, and our consultation shows the majority of respondents believe, as current legislation stands, we haven't quite got it right at the moment, and these reforms will address that. That's pretty much it. People will fabricate reasons to evict tenants. The pocket bra inventor is suing Nike over a sports bra line. Nike was sued in Boston federal court on Monday by an inventor who claims the Beaverton, Oregon clothing agent stole her technology for a line of sports bras with pockets. Sherry Goff's Sherrywear LLC said in the lawsuit that Goff pinched her patented pocket bra to Nike starting in 2015, and that the company later used her inventions without her permission in its swoosh athletic bras with pockets in the wearer's belongings. Because as if you'd ever think that, maybe pockets should be added to a bra. Because, no one could have ever thought about that before. Representatives for Nike did not immediately respond to comment on the lawsuit, which accuses the company of infringing on 8 patents. Spokesperson for Sherrywear's law firm, Caldwell IP Law, said in a statement that they are confident with the patent system's ability to empower small businesses such as Sherrywear to protect the innovative ideas that they dedicate substantial resources and effort towards. Goff Sherrywear told the court that it received patents starting in 2016 covering a pocket bra, which allows women to keep their most precious possessions close, convenient, and safe in a comfortable and fashionable manner. The lawsuit said Goff contacted several Nike employees to pitch her invention, and that she sent a Nike executive a list of her relevant patents and applications in his request in 2017. Sherrywear said Nike declined to collaborate soon after and began applying its own patent for bras with storage pockets less than 2 months later. The lawsuit said Goff discovered that Nike was selling infringing bras in 2019, and it said the company never responded to the letters she sent outlining the alleged infringement. She asked the court for an unspecified amount of damages. So there you go. Tuned in just in time for the sneeze. Thank you. Does Hayden's merch store bras have pockets? No, they do not. Mostly because I don't have control over that. This one's spun me out a little bit. All-male guest resort in Key West is sued by a woman for discrimination. Is it a woman, though? Is it actually a woman? Chalk this win up for the ladies. A Florida judge has ruled against an all-male nude resort in Florida. Orleans House, the very popular and very chic guest house in Key West, was just dealt a crushing loss from Florida Judge Brittany Finkbeiner. Earlier this year, Amina Chaudhry, 38, sued Orleans House and nearby Island House for discrimination. Chaudhry, who identifies as a member of the LGBT community and a cisgender woman, wait, what? Oh, she's a lesbian. That actually took me a second to try and put that together. She's cisgender, meaning she identifies with her gender at birth, but if she's a member of the community, then theoretically she's lesbian. Suero. She said the implication is if they're allowed to discriminate against any genders they don't want coming in there, then any other place of public accommodation can do the same thing. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Because someone may do something down the track, I need to make sure that we attack this now. I was not expecting this to be a tale of the rainbow. But you know what? I suppose we got to.
Gay.
After the Florida Commission on Human Relations ruled against her in February, she appealed the decision. Finkbeiner agreed with Chaudhry's recommendation that women should be granted the right to disrobe next to men. Orleans House does allow women to visit the resort, but they cannot access the clothing optional areas. The Commission is required to take the judge's recommendations into consideration before making this final decision. Chaudhry, who is embroiled in another lawsuit with another an all-male resort in Key West, said after the judge's decision, living in Key West and going through all of this, there's just the kind of pervasive sense that I was the one in the wrong. No shit, you are. Like I was some kind of crazy lunatic who was going against the natural order of things. Joe Schrader, owner of the Orleans House, speaking exclusively to Out SFL, is fired up with the latest ruling asking where is our right to privacy. He explained that we are fighting for the right to be around other men, other naked men, without being peered on by fully clothed women. Or by naked women by the same token. Angered at the loss, he provided the needed separate but equality accommodations necessary. The Orleans House compound also has another pool where everyone is welcome in separate housing. The clothing optional area is only one part of the Orleans House compound. He vows to take this to the next higher court, and then the one after that, promising hopefully we'll win this or else we'll lose more than our men's only resort. We will lose all of our safe spaces. Yeah, but apparently we're not allowed to have those anymore either. Oh, haven't you heard they're not even allowed to call them, like, women anymore, or mothers, or, you know. Well, when I actually went onto this, I really should have actually realised that this was going to be a tale from the rainbow. But anyway. Okay. Where are we? In what... a birthing person. I know, right? Bonus hole, birthing person. No, Digger, as far as I'm concerned, you can have them too. I don't give a shit. If women want safe spaces, if men want safe spaces, that's the way that it should be. There should be safe spaces for each individual gender as they recognise themselves. That's the way that it should be. Do we need to address the bonus hole controversy? We've been addressing bonus holes for the last week or so, because that is complete and utter bullshit. Yeah, should. Can't chat, hands shaking. I'm watching though. Spell checker is possessed. You okay? Do we need to call 911? In what may or may not, for something that may or may not actually affect gamers, Xbox Live is finally being shut down after 20 years, which means I need to get in and get some games bought. Because Xbox Live, although the 360 was pretty crappy anyway. Okay, this likely won't come as a surprise to many people. Xbox Live Gold is finally set to shut down as a subscription service after 20 years. It's well known that Xbox Live hasn't exactly had the best reception as of late. Users have complained that the trash new free games, arguing that the games included simply don't justify the price. For a while now, it seemed as if the end is nigh. Just last month, Microsoft announced a price hike for the Game Pass ahead of the release of Starfield. In the UK, the standard console edition price increased from £8 to £9. Europe will see it go from 10 to €11, and the US will see an increase from $9 to $11. The Game Pass Ultimate will increase. I don't care any about it. And now it's looking as if Gold Pass is set to become a cheaper tier of Game Pass. As reported by Comic Book, Xbox Live Gold could shut down as soon as September 1. Twitter user Wario64 was the first to spot the notice on a Korean website. It's believed that the Xbox Live Gold will become the Gold Pass Core, not to be confused with the standard console or Ultimate versions of the service. The new Core tier will reportedly be cheaper than the existing $9.99. Oh, for crying out loud. It's set to include the same benefits, including online multiplayer, and it's assumed existing Live subscribers will automatically transfer over to the new offering. Games with Gold will end, but core subscribers will seemingly gain access to a library of 25 Game Pass titles. To unlock the whole of the Game Pass catalogue, including day one releases, users need to upgrade to console or Ultimate editions of the Game Pass. This remains unconfirmed by Microsoft, but it certainly looks and sounds convincing. I'd imagine that Microsoft won't take long to clear up any confusion. Well, you would hope so. Yeah, honestly, I was in the same boat. I mean, up until I got Game Pass included with my gaming computer. Like, yeah, you get Gold for free with Game Pass, exactly. So, the Supreme Court gives mice a chilly reception. The Supreme Court hears Victoria's most heinous crimes, murder and manslaughter for a start. Hearings can be brutal as cases are poured over in agonising detail. Lately, though, jurors and judges seem to be less than impressed with the state of Victoria's most esteemed court. In March, a well-respected judge articulated their dismay in a court hearing. "I'm just told that there's a mouse. We have mice. I have to say, they do inhabit this court, and I've seen them in my own chambers, so we'll try not to think about the mouse for the time being. It's a very old building." The judge wasn't the only one to notice something amiss. During a recent proceeding, a jury interjected to let the court know that the temperature had become too much to bear. "Sorry to interrupt, just before you start, some of the members of the jury are a little bit cold. It's actually quite a bit of a breeze." "Yes, my associates have mentioned that to me," the judge responded. "Probably trying to keep you awake whilst I'm speaking," the barrister quipped. "It's freezing," the juror pointed out. The judge then concluded, "But we'd better get something done about it immediately, because we don't want our jurors sitting there feeling like they're in Antarctica. Because if you're really cold, you can't concentrate. I know that much." Debate has been raging behind closed doors about the appropriateness of the old building, erected in 1884 as a forum for modern criminal justice. Some say it's dated and in desperate need of modernising, but retains its centrality as an obligation to tradition. It's the largest, most expensive project in the 19th century of Australia, and marred by controversy, scandal, and budget blowout, the court website says. Are there plans to give it a spruce up? We don't know, but it's time to start looking at a new building. Oh, okay. Apparently that was all of it. Okay, fine. A judge has struck down the law allowing Tennessee Attorney General, the Tennessee Attorney General, to argue certain death penalty cases. A judge has ruled that the appointed Tennessee Attorney General cannot intervene on behalf of the state in a case of a death row inmate who is seeking a second trial. During a hearing Monday, a criminal court judge said that the new law allowing the state Attorney General to step in post-conviction death penalty cases violates the state's constitution because it removes the power of the locally elected district attorney to argue such cases. The ruling stems from a motion filed by Larry McKay, who is seeking another trial based on new evidence. Really? That is like... These news articles are getting shorter and shorter, I'm just saying. Oh, the poor thing. A truck has crashed into an alligator on a highway, killing a pregnant woman, Texas police say. Oh, Jesus. A truck crashed into an alligator on a Texas highway, leaving 4 hospitalized and 1 dead, police said. The vehicle was traveling on State Highway 35 early on July 16 when the crash occurred in Refugio County Sheriff's Office, said the Refugio County Sheriff's Office in a news release. The truck, which was carrying 2 adults and 3 children, slammed into the alligator and rolled over. It came to a rest at an angle in a field near the highway, photos released by the police show. The deputies responded to the crash site along with fire and EMS personnel, and all 5 of the occupants were taken to a nearby hospital. The driver, a pregnant woman from Louisiana, died in the hospital, according to Beeville B. Picayune, citing police. The other 4 occupants are expected to be okay. And there's the alligator. Poor thing. The alligator was also killed in the incident, according to KIII-TV. The representative for the sheriff's office did not immediately respond to a news request. The county is about 60 miles north of Corpus Christi. Interactions with alligators have been increasing in Texas due to their expanding population and human encroachment on their habitat, according to the State Parks and Wildlife Department. If an alligator is spotted by a roadway, local authorities should be contacted for a safe removal. Yes, unfortunately, the gator was killed. Mind you, could be worse. A raccoon with a mayonnaise jar on its head helped lead police on a chase in Ohio. A raccoon with a mayonnaise jar stuck on its head led police in Painesville, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, on a chase. The police department officers were responding to sightings of a distressed animal when they found it near the intersection in Painesville. The footage released by local police shows the critter scurrying away as the officers approach it. The officers were able to eventually catch up to the raccoon and remove the jar, after which it scampered off into the night. Where's the footage? Show me the footage. Tiny raccoon. I suppose it'd have to be for a mayo jar, wouldn't it? You can see the mayo jar. Dude, how difficult is it to get it? And yoink. Can't tell if... I think that's restarted. That's just restarted. Okay. Alright, moving on. An American woman has been fined for offering a $100 bribe to a German passport control official. Because that's what you want to do. If you're going to go to Germany, make sure you offer them what is likely the lowest denomination you can think of. To, get them to try and break the law for your behalf. Because why not? What's that? After removing the jar, the police brutally beat the raccoon before shooting it 37 times. No, the raccoon, as far as we're aware, was unharmed. In Berlin, an American woman was fined after attempting to bribe a police officer at Munich airport's passport control over the weekend, according to German federal police. The 70-year-old was traveling from Athens to Washington via a stopover in Munich when she attempted to go through passport control without presenting a valid ID. When the passport control officer said she needed her passport to enter the flight area, the woman said she had accidentally left her passport on a previous flight from Athens to Munich. However, when the officer went to ask the airline Lufthansa whether they had found it, the woman pulled out a $100 bill and asked the officer to let her through without a passport. German authorities refused to enter into the flight and fined her €1,000, being $1,122, for attempted bribery. Since her passport was not immediately found, she had to remain in Munich until she was able to get a new passport from the US consulate. Nine! Shocked that the cops didn't empty their mags into it like they did the Texas cop to the Golden Retriever. Oh, Jason! We didn't need that. I also didn't need a reminder of that. She could have at least made it 500. Okay. So, Threads collects so much sensitive information, it's a hacker's dream, according to experts. Because, that's exactly what... Hang on, is that really the length of the article? Oh, no, there it is, okay. That's exactly what fucking Zuckerberg needed to hear. It knows when you've been on online shopping, the last time you worked out, and whether you've been lurking on your ex's profile. Meta's new social media platform Threads is gobbling up massive amounts of sensitive data on its 100 million users and counting. The specificity and quantity of information the text multimedia platform can access poses a risk to most users if it falls into the wrong hands or is used to target them, tech experts agree. This is a hacker's dream, said Claudette McGowan, a longtime banking executive who founded Protexa, a Toronto-based platform that uses artificial intelligence to rapidly identify and resolve cyber issues for employees. The more data you have sitting in a certain position or spot is going to get people really, really excited about getting access to it and being very creative about it. Threads falls under Meta's wider privacy policy that covers other social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. That policy details how Meta captures everything from the information that you give it when you sign up from accounts to what you click on or like, who you befriend online, and what kind of phone, computer, or tablet you use to access its products. It also keeps tabs on what you are doing on your device, like whether the app is in the foreground, if your mouse is moving, messages you send and receive, and details on purchases you make, including credit card information. Threads also has its own supplemental privacy policy, which states, we collect information about your activity on Threads, including what content you create, the types of content you view or interact with, and how you interact with it. Metadata about your content, the Threads feature you use and how you use them, the hashtags you use, and the time, frequency, and duration of your activity on Threads. The privacy policy Threads has embedded in Apple's App Store shows it may collect and link your identity data, including your health and fitness, financial browsing history, location and contact information, along with a broad category of sensitive information. It looks to me like it is a grab bag or a driftnet approach, said Brett Carraway, professor of media economics at the University of Toronto. That approach is not unusual for social media services and other apps. It's become standard repertoire for such companies to broker access to as much data as possible. Music-centric social media app TikTok. Since when is what the fuck? Since when is TikTok's music-centric? For example, collects usernames, passwords, dates of birth, email addresses, telephone numbers, information disclosed in user profiles, photographs, and videos. It also grabs preferences you set, content you upload, comments you make, websites you've visited, apps you've downloaded, and purchases you've made. Screen resolution, keystroke patterns, battery levels, audio settings, and your approximate location, including location information based on your SIM card and or IP address, are all scooped up by TikTok. But there's no way that can go off to ByteDance or be any sort of an issue with West Taiwan. Media's been trying to make Mark look good, though. Idiots going over to Threads are the people who want censorship and to be controlled. Yeah, have you seen some of the things that people are getting booted off Threads for? It's next to nothing. Certainly seeing a situation in the US where certain marginalized... Hang on, I skipped a bit. Caraway often hears from students who wonder whether they should care if social media companies access their data because they're not high profile and don't use such apps for controversial activities. Just because you're safe doesn't mean you're safe tomorrow. We're certainly seeing a situation in the US where certain marginalized populations are under attack, at least rhetorically, and sometimes legally, and you might find yourself as part of one of those marginalized populations. Regardless of what you do on social media, Caraway said the companies leave users not in a position to bargain. You just have to take what the platform gives you. Asked about the app's privacy concerns, Meta referred the Canadian press to Threads post from its chief privacy officer, Robert Sherman, where he argued its privacy measures are similar to the rest of our social apps, including Instagram, in that our apps receive whatever information you share in the app, including the categories of data listed in the App Store. People can choose to share what different kinds of data. Before signing up for Threads or any other service, McGowan recommends people go beyond a cursory glance at the privacy policy as to what they're agreeing to and read it more thoroughly on how the data can be used. People just don't understand the value of it. They become the product. Things are being monetized that they don't even envision, and they're thinking about making decisions and formulating opinions that are really being formed and decided for them. She also advises people to consider a company's history. Do they have a track record of handling sensitive information with care? Do they have a track record of being transparent and open and honest with their community? In the case of Threads, its parent company Meta was infamously ensnared in privacy concerns in 2018, when it was revealed that consulting firm Cambridge Analytica paid a Facebook app developer for access to the personal information of about 87 million users. Personal info was used to target US voters during the country's presidential election that ended with Trump in power. Threads has yet to launch in the European Union, which has strict data privacy rules. We would have liked to offer Threads in the US at the same time as other markets, and the app does meet the general data protection regulation requirements today. Oh, I doubt that. Otherwise, you would have launched it. You'd be missing out. You'd be losing millions of dollars. I highly doubt that. But building this offering against the backdrop of other regulatory requirements that have not yet been clarified will potentially take a lot longer, and in the face of this uncertainty, we prioritised offering this new product to as many people as possible. If you're having second thoughts about an account you've signed up for in light of such developments, most services offer tools that help you adjust settings, limiting access to some of your personal information, and you always have the option to disconnect. Yeah, not really, because last I saw that if you wanted to give up a Threads account, you had to delete your Instagram account as well. Which I think's... I think that's a bit of a twist of the knife, really. Because most big apps end up going through the exact type of issues. Why would that be so? Don't they read the news and make sure that their stuff is up to standards? Because they literally can. Yes, they can, Isabel. Yes, they can. To dump your Threads profile, which is embedded in Instagram, you must also delete your Instagram account. There it was. And the irony is that Meta is staring at a $100,000 per day fine in Norway starting from August 4th through to November 3rd if it doesn't fix privacy policy issues. It can also get worse for Zuckerberg's company if the European Data Protection Board extends the validity of the decision beyond the current 3-month period. The Norwegian Data Protection Authority has imposed a 3-month ban on Meta's behavioural advertising. If Meta does not comply with the rules, it will be fined $100,000 for each day of non-compliance between August 4 and November 3. So clear that this is illegal that we need to intervene now and immediately, said Tobias Juden, head of Norway's Privacy Commission. During these 3 months, Meta is banned from advertising on the basis of location, behaviour and other parameters. A December 22 ruling of the Irish Data Protection Commission banned Meta from running advertisements based on their behavioural data. However, despite this, Meta continued to show behavioural advertisements according to a decision by the Court of Justice of the European Union. So there you go. They're not only are they just saying, fuck it, we're going to ignore you, but mind you, $100,000 a day, probably chump change for them. So, Instagram should be separate from whatever gay Twitter alternative they make. Abso-friggin-lutely it should. It should not be integrated. I'm wondering how many people didn't realize that as well. I'm wondering how many people ran over to Zuckerberg and his new creation and logged into Threads without even realizing that it was so integrated with Instagram. I'm wondering how many people are now stuck with a Threads account that they don't want But because they've got so many hundreds of thousands of followers, or so many thousands of followers, or tens of followers, or however many on Instagram, and they can't disentangle themselves from it, because it's literally, if you don't want the Threads account, you have to delete your Instagram account, and you have to start all over. So, yeah, that's a bit much in my opinion. So, got that, got the raccoon. Oh yeah, so this happened yesterday. A man charged with 13 offences, including unlawful possession of weapons, after alleged siege in Nunda. Nunda. A man has been charged with more than a dozen offences after an alleged siege in Brisbane on Sunday. Police took the 32-year-old into custody on early Monday morning after he allegedly barricaded himself inside a Nunda house for several hours. It was 21 hours, but anyway. An exclusion zone and Public Safety Preservation Act was put in place on Sunday afternoon while police negotiated with the man. No one was injured. A gun was allegedly located inside the home after the man was arrested. He was wanted in relation to several alleged weapons and criminal offences. The 32-year-old has been charged with 13 offences, including 5 counts of contravention of a domestic violence order, 2 counts of stealing, 1 count of serious assault of a police officer, dangerous conduct with a weapon, unlawful possession of weapons, authority required to possess explosives, robbery in company, and willful damage. He will face Brisbane Magistrates Court tomorrow. The Thunder Down Under. Yes, there was a siege for like 21 hours. He was holding off police. So, where are we? Got that. Got that. Do we want to read that? We might as well read that one. Queensland fertility giant is being sued for millions over a baby swap scandal. Oh, hang on. I do need to actually... Ha! Gay! I know, because I actually read this one the other day. Brian Wilkinson just got off 3 weeks long jury duty, ready to bang my head against my desk. Sorry to hear that, Brian. Hopefully it was... Well, clearly it wasn't an interesting case. Okay. Queensland's leading fertility clinic and star of a national primetime TV show is at the centre of a landmark multi-million-dollar baby swap scandal with a devastated couple suing the IVF clinic for the use of the wrong sperm to conceive 2 of their sons. The Supreme Court legal action believed that the first personal damage claim is believed to be the first personal damage claims of its kind in Australia, and will send shockwaves through the lucrative fertility industry and every family that have used IVF to conceive children. Anastasia and Lexi Gunn are suing Queensland Fertility Group, the IVF juggernaut behind Channel 9's popular series Big Miracles, for using the wrong sperm to conceive their 2 younger sons, both of whom suffer from serious health conditions. The women say their family's been destroyed by having falsely believed for years that their 3 sons were biological siblings. They say that they now have no idea who the actual donor father is, and they fear that other parents could have been caught up in an epic blunder and could be raising children that are not their own. It comes as the Courier Mail can confirm that at least one other family is planning to take legal action against Queensland Fertility Group over allegations where the wrong sperm was used. The Gunns launched legal action after a series of genetic and DNA tests showed that their 3 boys, all conceived at the prestigious clinic, did not have the same father. They were compelled to get expensive DNA tests conducted by DNA Queensland, which are used and approved in the court system after their 2 younger sons developed debilitating health problems. The multi-million-dollar claim includes damages related to breach of contract, wrongful birth, negligence, and a loss of genetic affinity, believed to be an Australian first. Is this the next season of Underbelly? Not quite so much. The multi-million-dollar... Got that. At the time that the couple conceived their 2 younger sons, Jake and Kai, Anastasia and Lexi had insisted QFG use the same sperm donor, known as 227, and that was used to conceive their oldest son, Seth. They paid QFG to reserve 5 ampules of donor 227 for the purpose of creating their dream family. For years, Seth, 16, Jake, 10, and Kai, 8, were raised as genetic siblings, and they were told that they were all sons of donor 227, who had a top-notch profile and was carefully selected by their parents. The chosen donor was an athletic, blue-eyed, blonde, well-educated professional who was in excellent health and agreed to contact once the children turned 18. Those findings blew up our world. We immediately realised that our 2 younger sons were not from donor 227 as we had thought all those years, and suddenly there was a reason for their illnesses. The science doesn't lie. When I received the results of the DNA tests, I was at work. I'm a theatre nurse. I was so blown away that I started to cry uncontrollably and had to be comforted by the consultant anaesthetist. I knew within seconds that there had been a terrible mistake at the clinic. I phoned Lexi and she was so shocked she started to vomit. The life we thought we were living was now in question and it was everything to us that they grew up as biological siblings, that they had an important family connection. Parents say the foundation of the brothers' lives has been ripped out from under them and they are struggling to accept that they are not biologically related. The boys always joked around about their biological father. It was never a secret and they grew up safe in the knowledge that they were true brothers, felt a family belonging and had a connection for their life. When we told them about the DNA tests, they were inconsolable. The DNA test did confirm that Jake and Kai are full siblings and are the maternal sons of Lexi. However, the findings have left the family uncertain as to who was the actual father of Jake and Kai. There is no clear answer as to whether they were fathered by another donor or by a sample taken from another couple attending the clinic on the same day. But the fertility giant QFG stands firm in their claim that donor 227 sperm was used in the conception of all 3 boys. How? DNA tests show that they're not. I'm sorry. How do you stand firm on that? Courier Mail on Friday approached QFG for a response to the claim that they said that the group was unable to comment because the matter was before the courts. We're confident in the integrity of our program system and processes, QFG Managing Director Melanie Simpson said in a short statement. According to court documents, the fertilisation of the eggs to create the couple's embryos was carried out at QFG's Benowa Clinic on the Gold Coast in 2012. A total of 6 embryos were created with what was believed to be 227 sperm. The embryos were frozen and stored by QFG. QFG have provided medical records that say that donor 227, they used 227 on the day for both Jake and Kai when they were conceived, which means either their sperm bank incorrectly labelled or they have switched it with somebody else on the day, Anastasia said. There were many other families having embryos made on the same day that we were. This isn't just about our children and us. What if they switched our donor sperm with sperm from one of those couples and there's a man out there raising children that aren't even his? The court documents allege that the wrong sperm was used to create the gun's embryos, and the origin of the sperm is unknown. The plaintiffs have given birth to children who were unintended and wrongfully conceived. Imagine being those fucking kids growing up and hearing those words. You were unintended and wrongfully conceived. Like, I'm sorry, I get that this is probably individual to them, and I can't really comment because I'm not in the situation. Yeah, basically, you were a mistake from a lab. Why would this mean that, like... To me, this is horrible, because the way that this is going forward makes it seem as if they love the kids less. And if they do as a result of this, then that's pathetic. I guarantee that they would upfront say, no, we don't love our children any less. We're doing this because we want to make sure that whatever issues are fixed or whatever. It's still reprehensible in my opinion. Plaintiffs have given birth to children that were unintended and wrongfully conceived. It further states that QFG and the treating doctor, who is also being sued, failed to take reasonable steps to ensure that the correct sperm donor was used and failed to inform the Guns as to the risk of being impregnated with an incorrectly fertilised embryo. The defendants failed to devise, maintain or enforce a system for tracking, reservation, storage and use of sperm in assisted reproductive treatment services which ensured at all times that the correct sperm was used, failed to take reasonable steps to ensure that the correct donor sperm was used in fertilisation, and failed to inform or adequately inform the plaintiff as to the risks of being impregnated with an incorrectly fertilised embryo. Anastasia and Lexi have been so shaken by the DNA findings that they are urging families who have had babies through QFG to go through their own genetic testing to be certain no mistakes have been made and children were not created with wrong gametes. And see, I feel a little bit different in this circumstance as well, because it was still their eggs that were used. Granted, the two younger ones were used from eggs from one of the partners, and the older one was used from the other partner. Biologically, those kids are still their individual children. It's no different than getting knocked up as part of a one-night stand, in my opinion. Like, no, Mamasaurus, they don't have the same maternal DNA. Each of the women provided eggs. So, as if perfect genetics keep you from having medical issues. Yeah, well, there is that. Know of an incident where a healthy male embryo being placed inside of a healthy male embryo was placed instead of a healthy girl embryo. Anastasia and Lexi have been so shaken by the DNA findings that they're urging families to... Oh, yeah. What if they used the sperm of a man who had frozen his sperm before having cancer treatment and it was his last chance at having biological children? Or just the sperm of a heterosexual couple putting their faith in a reputable company like we did? Yeah, I don't believe that's why you're doing this, in my own personal opinion. I think everyone who has ever used QFG to make their baby should DNA test their children to make sure it was done correctly. They began to have a relationship in early 2011, knew soon after that they wanted to extend their family. According to court documents, two things were critical: that all the children were biologically related and were conceived using donor 227 sperm. If you wanted them to be biologically related, then all of the eggs should have been the same. The doctor should take a DNA test. What's that? Perfect genetics won't stop you from getting run over. That's what I'm saying. There was a rooster in the hen house and she's blaming the sperm bank. If we raise a baby, it's ours. In August of the same year, the couple contacted QFGs requesting they reserve 5 ampules of 227 sperm. They were advised the ampules had been located and reserved for their use. In May 2012, they began their IVF journey, consulting with the doctor at QFG to start the process. On May 22, both women gave their consent to the treatment. Then in June, Anastasia informed QFG that it was essential that all future of the children be biologically related to Seth. Okay. So if that's the case, then why did they not just take the... As far as I'm concerned, they're contributory negligent in this. If him being biologically related to the other siblings was so important, why did they change the eggs? If they wanted biologically related kids, they should have chosen a male partner and not paid for a designer baby. Well, I mean, look. This couple just wanted it as an easy, perfect formula, quite possibly. Also possible for biological parents to say their children were a mistake, broken condom, drunken fling, etc. Yeah, I know, but generally you don't put it into court documents. They want adoption and artificial pregnancy to be seen as equal or superior to natural dating and reproduction. Seth Gunn was born in 2007 with no health concerns and remains a healthy teenager. He was carried by Anastasia. Lexi gave birth to Jake in 2013 and he had health issues from birth. Been diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobile type, acid reflux, chronic constipation, phimosis, and chronic long-term pain. He'll need medical intervention for his whole life. Anastasia carried Kai using Lexi's egg. He was born in 2015 and has been diagnosed with joint hypermobility syndrome with mechanical pains, pes planus valgus, and chronic constipation. Lexi has had to give up full-time work to look after the needs of the sick boys. As part of the claim, the Guns are also suing medical insurance company Avant Insurance for the actions of the now-deceased clinical geneticist Dr. Stephen Withers. The Guns attended a genetic counselling appointment with Dr. Withers in October 2012 when Lexi was 8 weeks pregnant with Jake. This was for the geneticist to provide information about the risks of any of the children having a genetic disorder or disability. They sought out information to decide whether or not to continue or terminate the pregnancy. The Supreme Court documents claim the Guns were not informed of the risk of disability. Oh, I call bullshit on that. They're very fucking careful about advising on disability. No time did Dr. Withers or any other treating physician advise the plaintiffs that there was a risk of children conceived using the embryo suffering from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or any other serious genetic disorder or disability. The court documents further allege that Dr. Withers had written to the doctor treating the women at QFG and said, as a complete aside and in something which is totally unrelated, there is a paternal cousin who has a child with what sounds almost certainly like Ehlers-Danlos type 4. This is the severe scarring hemorrhagic form of the condition, he wrote to the doctor. Oh, so they already had it in the family. Okay. In his report to the Guns on the same day, he failed to make mention of the risk of it. Well, I mean, if he didn't think about it until after the fact and he didn't put it in the report, well, I don't know. When Anastasia and Lexi told the children that they did not all have the same father, they sobbed. We had to tell them 2 days before Christmas that they didn't have the same biological father. Why? What? Why? Someone tell me what the fuck is, like... We had to tell them 2 days before Christmas that they don't have the same biological father when we're taking them for yet another DNA test and it broke their hearts. I will never recover from the memory of them carrying and hugging each other. It haunts me. A middle child asked us, is that why I'm sick? Because they used the wrong sperm. And I had to tell him, yes, it is. Okay, A, waiting 72 hours wouldn't have killed you. B, you're specifically lying to the kid, given that there's a genetic chance that there's a... If they use the, it's not even whether or not they use the wrong sperm. The middle kid has the thing that one of them has in the family. Like, that's like saying I should spat you out. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? He was so sad and so angry every time I see him limp, every time he cries at night from the pain in his joints, every time he is left out of sports and fun activities where he might get even more injured, and I'm more and more furious. We saw the specialist the other day where we plan to go ahead with major surgeries that he needs over his lifetime because of his medical condition. Lexi said that as a family, the Guns would always point out that number 227 when they saw it somewhere and felt bonded to that number. The children have described this experience to me that it is as if someone has stolen their brother. The family lineage has changed. They won't even know who their own siblings are. So how will they go about having relationships when they're adults? I don't know, because family is thicker than blood? Our kids weren't meant to be able to find out the donor's identity at 18. That was part of the agreement with the clinic. Now we don't know if they'll ever find out who their biological father is, what his physical features are. All I've wanted for this time is for our children to be biologically related and see themselves in each other. Anastasia has worked as a registered nurse in critical care for 25 years, says she's appalled that the fertility clinics are not government regulated. When I told QFG my boys had different fathers and demanded an explanation, they just refused to answer. I couldn't believe they would just ignore something so important, so I wrote to the Reproductive Technology Accreditation Committee, thinking they would force QFG to investigate and come up with an answer. RTAC is meant to make sure clinics are doing the right thing, and that they are the group that gives out licenses to the clinics. That license means the clinic can receive Medicare funding, taxpayer dollars worth millions. As a theatre nurse, I work under so many layers of policy, protocol, regulation, and legislation. I know that if I make a mistake or break the rules, I'll be held accountable for what I have done. I assumed the IVF industry was the same, that they had the rules that they must follow. Instead, I found out that there are no state laws governing IVF in Queensland at all. How are patients meant to be protected? This needs to change. The government needs to take charge. Just looking for a payday. Certainly sounds like it to me. Like, I get it, but using that language in that court document is reprehensible in my own personal opinion. And there are so many things wrong with this that it's not funny.
I found out that the boys had a different biological father when I was at work. My phone alerted me that the ancestry results had come in. And when I looked at the results, it only took me about 60 seconds to realise what had happened.
Yeah, no. I'm pissed off about that. I really am. So, you know what? I'm going to 86 that particular news article because I don't really need to have additional blood pressure issues. Alright, so let's finish out with this one. That time that Aldi got sued over an exploding burger. Care and caution in the kitchen are crucial to avoiding injuries, fires, and other unwanted occurrences when cooking. However, a court case involving a woman simply attempting to whip up some tasty turkey burgers on her stovetop resulted in a painful outcome, even though the woman claims to have followed the cooking instructions. As reported by WTAE, a woman was burned and permanently scarred in 2018 when cooking a frozen turkey burger patty that she procured from Aldi. According to complainant Georgia Besley, the package of Kirkwood turkey burgers she purchased had instructions from frying from frozen, which entailed heating a frying pan on medium using a small amount of vegetable oil. Despite reportedly following the instructions, the burger inexplicably exploded after being placed in the hot oil, which led to serious injuries. Seeking compensation on what occurred, she sued Aldi to the tune of $35,000. She alleged the incident resulted in second-degree burns which impacted her forearms and hands. Fox 35 followed up on her case in 2020. It's not clear whether she received the amount requested in her original lawsuit, but the case was settled for an undisclosed amount. However, the terms of the settlement were not made public, and Aldi failed to respond to queries about the case. He is hoping Besley was awarded a fair amount of her injuries that she incurred. As compensation would be needed to cover any present and future medical costs that may have resulted from the mishap. The other burning question is, why did the turkey burger explode in the first place? It all has to do with the large ice crystals that form on frozen food as it's being preserved for your freezer. Remember when frozen food had large ice bits clinging to it? These bits can cause oil to splash out of the skillet as they quickly melt down and jump out of the pan, sometimes causing severe burns. Accordingly, you must use the proper cooking practices when frying anything, whether you're starting with a frozen piece of food or allowing time for the item to defrost gradually. While the package of turkey burgers purchased by Besley did feature instructions on frying, the general recommendation is to thaw frozen burgers, whether made of beef or turkey, before frying for practical purposes. A defrosted burger will cook uniformly and quickly. It will also be easier to incorporate your seasonings, as salt and pepper don't cling too well to frozen meat. If you're short on time and can't wait for the meat to defrost, there are some proven methods you can use to reduce the likelihood of calamities. Begin by preheating your pan on a medium heat for about 5 minutes. Add a teaspoon of olive oil to the pan. If you're worried that there won't be enough to cook your burgers, only cook a few at a time. Allow the patties to cook for 6 minutes or so, then flip to the other side for another 6. The cooking method ensures a safe and tasty outcome. So there you go. Yeah, the company. $35K, done, see you later. Basically. So, buy an air fryer. That works too. Okay. Alright, I'll save that lawsuit, so that's fine. I'm going to read that one later myself. We got the Portland, Oregon serial killer. Yeah, I think that pretty well sorts me out for the day. So where are we? Let's have a look. See whether or not anyone else is live that I can bump everyone across to. Content, live, customization, redirect. What? The channels that you gave redirect privileges to don't have any live streams on previous schedule or in progress. What the fuck? Everyone's supposed to have redirect privileges. I tell you what, YouTube's been fucking around lately, something shocking. I privated 6 videos, and because I originally had monetization on it, it must have gone through the process again. And, hang on. What was it? What was the error that they gave me? Hang on, where's it gone? Content. Oh no, it was in an email. Hang on. Crap, where did it go? Where did it go? Search YouTube. As policy manager. Here it is. So, apparently the issues on these particular videos, and every single one of them had it, was... no, that's unavailable video. Religious belief in personalized advertising. So, I don't know what the hell that's about. I very rarely, if ever, talk about religious beliefs. I think. Like, I've never really personally shown any sort of inclination one way or another. But, you know, I suppose YouTube's going to YouTube. Yeah, it's supposed to be that people can redirect to others, but I have no idea why it's specifically saying that I can't redirect anybody. It literally says no upcoming current or other content videos. That the channels that give you redirect privileges don't have any live streams or premiere schedule in progress. So, guess we're just going to have to... the videos where you danced. No, not so much. It was just everyday law, news, and laughter videos. So, be Joe-ish. No, it wasn't you, Shenny, relax. Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to have to end it there, and I don't have anywhere to send you, so I do apologise for that. I'm not going to lie, having a little bit of existential crisis in terms of the channel, so I should be back tomorrow. Oh, actually, tomorrow will be a short show either way because I've got someone new starting in the firm, so I'll probably be ending early. Thursday, I'm in my regional office, so worst case scenario, I'll be back Thursday US time. Otherwise, I should see you tomorrow. But as always, guys, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and remember, you are not a piece of shit. You do have value, and you do contribute to society. And I very much appreciate you all being here. And I will catch you all later. Cheers, guys.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.